Hello, welcome back to another episode of Flesh and Blood in a Budget. So last episode we had another 3-on-1 episode. We lost the finals against Syndra. Um, it was a tough match. I could have probably gotten a bit more value from my cards, and maybe that would have been like the difference. But I wasn't drawing that hot as I would like to. But let's see how far we can go right now. The upgrades is going to be a bit more difficult to find a lot of things to upgrade since a lot of, as I mentioned before, a lot of the things we need are like expensive, like Command and Conquerors and maybe some equipments. But I might be able to find some cheap cards we can afford in order to get better with the deck. Maybe I'm going to be doing some changes around the certain cards that haven't been played a lot. And I honestly don't really know what to expect about some matchups like a Gravy matchup, since for some reason I've been able to dodge Gravies while doing this series. It seems there are not a lot of Gravies in Berlin, but yeah, let's see how this week goes. So our pulls for last week were actually not bad. We got one Rainbow Falls Silex from our booster pack, entry pack. We didn't got like a second place pack because there were too few people to give like a second place pack like other armories have done. Yeah, sadly. And dream pack was okayish. We got another harpoon, and we also got an entangling shot and not foil. So at least the Silex pays for the some refund for the armory and the upgrades for this week. So for this week, I wanted to change a card that we've been talking about that I don't really like a lot. It is being Torrent of Tempo. So Torrent of Tempo is a one cost, meaning it doesn't really lines up with swinging with Edge of Autumn into an attack, and this isn't like reliable go again. I think it's decent against things like Gravy, since we can like kill a chum with that. But I don't know. We haven't been playing like a lot of Gravies for me to exactly know, so that's why I wanted to replace this with Pounding Gale. So this is a 1 for 5 as well, but fairly important. This has the text combo, meaning we block a little bit more with Flick Flag. And if for some reason we manage to get like a Quicken token or some free go again, we are also playing Open the Center, and this combos with Open the Center, so it would be really funny if I get randomly go again and I play Open the Center for 3 go again into Pounding Gale for 6 go again on hit, deal 2 damage as twice damage. It'll be honestly really funny, but I don't really expect to happen. But that's going to be the changes right now. I want to be experimenting a little bit with this cheaper cards to see what cards fits the best, and that's going like right now we're just going to be working with the cards we have in order to achieve like the best possible list for the progress. So right now I'm just going to be experimenting with cards like Pounding Gale, and I will think something for next week. Yeah, see you on the games. So round 1 is going to be against Verdance. That's a deck we have played enough, and as we know, if the Verdance is playing combo, we need to stay healthy to avoid getting comboed and just die out of nowhere. Oasis Respite is really big in order to prevent arcane damage. For example, Oasis Respite plus a blue can help us stop a Burn Bear completely, just blocking 6 damage and maybe healing 1 if we are low on life. But we need to be careful about Burdens because she runs 90 reacts on top of mental blocks. Those are 12 cards that can be played in the reaction step in order to prevent our kind of Skyrabs, and we lose our weapon with that, as we saw a couple of episodes ago in the Verdance matchup. So the sideboard against Burdens is very typical. We are just playing the arcane barrier equipments, and I decided to play 1 Flick Flag in this matchup. It's just another D-React, and if the Verdance is playing Easter eggs and goes with Go again, maybe we can get some extra value out of the Flick Flag. I don't really expect to have a lot of value out of the Flick Flag, but that's like the floor is just blocking 4, since Verdance are throwing a lot of physical attacks at us. A card that I'm not sure if I want to keep playing is the Amulet of Echoes, since after thinking it a bit more, it isn't as effective as I would like. And about the Oasis Respite, I'm considering playing a third one if the new card, that's basically the 6 Burnburs version of Verdance, becomes alive, then a third Oasis Respite would be pretty big. So, welcome to game 1. First, just want to say sorry, the camera position wasn't that great this game, so there is like a little bit of shaking because I'm like trying to fix it during the game. But yeah, so this is a rematch from our first loss ever in this series from Wit Guang. Yeah, so I wouldn't die roll and I decided to go first since I don't want to give Verdance the chance to get like a free potion. I start swinging my Edge of Autumn and it hits, but my opponent heals 3 life with some instants. Somehow I thought he wanted to keep like the rest of his hand, or maybe if he has like another instant or a potion, I can like punish him since combo Verdance usually run like a couple of non-blocks in form of like sigils, potions, and other instants. So I swing with my Philosophies for 5, and not only I get 1 Felling of the Crowns, but I also get a Burnber, and that's really huge for this time in the game, since those are 2 powerful cards from the Verdance deck. Verdance turns isn't great, she just activates her staff and plays a potion. So I just pitch a Faithful Scene to prevent the 1 damage, and maybe I have it like later to block a big attack. My turn, I just proceed to swing my weapon into a Neck Vengeance. So in my experience, the Verdance just throw the mental block in the first attack for the sword because it's like the most efficient way to block, since they can just prevent 1, block 6, and they basically block all my 8 damage with that, and then just play like a potion and pass. But in this case, Verdance didn't use that, so I thought Verdance wouldn't be having like a mental block in this case. But yeah, I think I should be more careful with Verdance since she runs like 12 ways to prevent damage in the reaction step. So I think I should be using all my Okana Skyrap's activations in the second cycle when I'm pretty sure Verdance has like no way to actively stop my attack. So in this case, I lose my sword for a while, and that really sets me up behind. But since I'm like honestly just bricking with some red cards, it's kind of like last time where it was relevant, but it wasn't as relevant as it could have been because I had like a lot of red cards and I couldn't swing with my sword anyway for a couple of turns. Now without a sword, I need to start sandbagging and wait until I get like a Legacy of Ikaru to put like in arsenal and try just to cut my opponent off guard without a direct or being cocky, blocking in a way that opens him up to the Legacy of Ikaru, but he's overblocking my attacks, and I'm just trying like to get the value I can. The Bittering Thorns help in this case, but it's not like the best replacement I would like. Now a fairly big misplay happens, so I swing with my Seek Vengeance for 4, and the Verdance just wanted to block it, so snap blocks it without checking the graveyard with the Carapace, and the only 2 Earth cards that were in the Verdance graveyard was 1 life and as a 1, it's the Amp card and I remember which other card, but Verdance didn't really wanted to banish that card since it's necessary for the combo. Like Verdance can combo with 2, but if I have like a large life lead, it isn't going to be enough to kill me. So Verdance really wants like to throw the 3 at me, and that's why Verdance traded the opportunity to have 3 amping 3 times instead of me having my swell back. Now back in track my weapon, I sadly get a full red card at hand. I just try to block to stay a bit healthy since I didn't really wanted like to use my whole hand to do like nothing. And for Verdance, sometimes it's okay if we give Verdance like a full hand, since she doesn't really can't convert Like I think most what Verdance can use is like 3 cards, so we're fine if Verdance can like keep 4 cards. Yeah, so now we get like a Felling of the Crown, and we're just setting up a little bit more. Pro tip against Felling of the Crown is you can actually use it to pitch deck your own cards. So if the Felling hits you with like a hand that you have like a card you can use for late game, you can just put the card for late game in bottom of your deck and block with your other cards and pass turn, or block with 2 Arsenal pass, just doing a little bit more of setup, since as I told you, Burdens can't really convert more than 3 cards usually. And we see I was instantly right. The moment Verdance gets like a full hand, she has a lot of cards she can really play, or like she didn't really wanted to decompose and throw the tilling, but rather she just use the staff and play a potion just to set up a little bit more for the combo. And I just use the opportunity to pitch deck like another card. As you can see, I can pitch a red flying kick for the late game, since I know sometimes the Verdance games go really far, and maybe I can use my pitch deck with a last ditch effort just to push massive amount of damage at the end. And I just tried to heal more life this game. Sadly, I ended up IPing myself on one, because like I can't really convert a lot of cards as well unless I have something like Between Thorns, but in this case I didn't have that. So now I get hit with this Command and Conquer, and I see like a little bit of drawback from the Sirens, since they only block 2. So to be honest, I was also considering changing Torrent of Tempo for Yellow Sirens, but I didn't really wanted another block 2 card in my deck, so that's why I decided not to play like the Yellow Sirens. So I ended up wasting 1 block for my headpiece instead of just being able to block with 2 cards for 6. And because I also had like a D-React in my hand, so of course I can't block a D-React with my Command Conquer. Now I throw the Neck Vengeance, and I'm just thinking if my opponent is maybe going to have 2 D-Reacts or not. But since he blocks like full 8, I know he isn't having like any D-Reacts. So my opponent heals 6. I didn't know what to expect of the second card in hand, so I just pitched for 1, another flying kick, so now I have like 2 flying kicks stacked. The Verdance matchups, the flying kicks aren't also that great, since I don't have my boots to just like to on demand do a flying kick turn. So they're okayish, not great. So maybe in like late game I can pair them with another Guardian card from my blue pool if I have like good tempo on my hands. I played Amulet of Echoes. As I mentioned before, I haven't been really liking it a lot in the Verdance matchup, since it's like a non-block. It's blue, what's okay is, but I thought it would be a bit more impactful, but after thinking a bit more, it isn't that great. So I throw the Erase Phase, and he just keeps 1 card in hand and IPs himself. So in that case, I'm thinking he wants like to combo. So I'm just hoping I can get some disruption next turn, since I know I'm going to get combo the turn after. But instead of getting some disruption, I just get yet another full red hand, and I cannot do like a lot about it, so I just swing my sword, and this time I have the Philosophers, and I heal 3, and now I'm 42. I am like out of just dying to the amps and the sergeants, but if he has like a spell, then I'm definitely dead, since that's like 60 damage, and no way I can do like a lot against 60 damage. So he has his combo turn. He starts by just cracking the epods, throwing a fruits, and just doing his thing. During the combo, he noticed he made like a mistake, so he just I allow him to like to fix his mistake instead of activating the Everbloom. Just pitched it to his headpiece just to grab his third rampant growth life. He heals a total of 11 this turn, meaning he's amping for 33, meaning his Surgeon Ethertide is coming for 34. So no ping got through, and I have AV2, so I can prevent 2. I think in this case I I am not sure why. I think I took I think I took 1 damage more than the damage I should have taken, since I was like at 42, and if I prevent 2, that means I will take 32, going down to 10, but I went to 9. I'm not sure what that was about. I don't know if, yeah. But I must say I was really lucky that I have 3 blue cards in my hand, so I could stop all the pings and the 2 damage as well from the Ether Tide. That's like silver lining in the turn, even though now I'm like at single digits and almost dead. But unless he gets me with like Burmber and the Striders, I'm going to be fine. So, even though I just want to play one flick like this matchup, I accidentally included all 3. But funnily enough, they're actually helping with by blocking 4. In this case, blocking Tilling for 8. Now he goes with a Burmber, and that's a bit scary since that's 4 damage I can't prevent. So I need to be careful about those. Luckily I got 1 on the turn 1, and I got another 1 this turn. And on top of that, he isn't playing Waning Moon, meaning there's no way he has like a big kill range on my turn. So right now I'm just like on the defensive, since I'm really low on life and I don't want to get dropped lower, since you know, Stormstriders is a really cool card that and it's really fair, you know. So I'm just trying to block all the damage I can whenever I can, waiting for like my Oasis Respites that I pitched before. Maybe they can help me like to avoid some arcane damage. But I ended up needing them against this Command and Conquer because my hand wasn't like really playable if I don't block that. So right now I'm just trying to do the cool thing I like about Flesh and Blood, just waiting for my time to attack, you know? Like I can be sandbagging the attacks from my opponent and wait for my right moment to swing back. In this case, I blocked the Command and Conquer, and I now come back with my Legendary Rest, shooting the Arsenal, and my opponent then keeps like attacking. I just keep blocking when I can keep some cards, and I push, since I know I have this really cool late game if I can, if it gets so far, you know. And this Verdance deck isn't playing like Evergreens, meaning they don't have like a weapon for late game, so fatigue is also an option. Now each turn that passes for Verdance, her turns are getting weaker and weaker, you know, so she's getting to this stage of fatigue. So now she's just like mostly swinging with 2 cards that she already has, or activating her weapon and doing nothing, because I can just like prevent the arcane damage in that case. Or I can just block with 2 cards and actually do more with 2 cards of my own. And on top of that, some life gain helps a lot for me, like just getting out of this range. I know she had like a couple of the Verdance dual cards that deal 4 arcane damage and heal 1. In this case, she played like them twice, and I just still managed to be alive at 6 life, and just my Sirens, Sigils, and Oasis keeping me healthy. Now after trading some blows, I finally get to like this late game stage. So Burden stalls like some arcane damage, meaning the arcane damage we can just block it by pitching cards from our hand. So in that case, some cards don't really take cards away from us, and our cards take cards away from Burdens as well. So we're going to be winning like in the fatigue race, and the last cards from Burdens don't really do a lot. So I'm just able to finish the game from there. Luckily, I just fatigued Verdance and won the game. So I think this game, maybe if Verdance just is a bit more patient and waits for more Amulet, she's maybe able like to finish the game. That case, we need to line the disruption together with Verdance combo turn. I think our only possible disruption that would help a lot would be like the Neck Vengeance, since that gets rid of the Arsenal. And if Verdance wants to keep her combo, he can't really keep her Arsenal, protect her Arsenal. I mean, sorry. So that's something. Yeah, but it's always a bit difficult to rate this matchup. I think we have a positive experience until now. but maybe Light Up the Leaves changes everything. In that case, as mentioned before, I would like to use third Oasis Respite for this matchup. So now we are going to be playing against Dio. As we know, Dio can have an aggressive playstyle, but she also likes to set up. She can get lucky hits from the top that can just destroy us. For example, a boom grenade on a 4 power attack that we're just blocking for 1. She can just hit a boom grenade and push 5 damage for free. But she can be fatigued if we have the right cards, and Disruption is fairly good. Erase Phase is the top card against her, as we've seen multiple times on this channel. The sideboard against Dio is fairly defensive. I'm cutting the Scar for Scars since Dio starts with lower life than us. They're not live from the beginning. They only block 2. And a big problem is sometimes we are ahead in life in the early game from Dio, and then Dio has like a big comeback turn, and then we're like low in life. And timing the Scar to that comeback turn is fairly hard, so I just rather don't have the 2 block in my deck and be able to play more aggressively. And the Bittering Thorns are like reliable go again. It sadly doesn't really combine with Enact Vengeance, but it's reliable go again for things like Erase Phase. And Erase Phase for 8 is pretty big when we're playing against Dio, especially since she doesn't cover it with her equipment sweep, since usually the equipment sweep blocks like for 7, unless Dio is playing other things like the new Mechanologist arms. Otherwise, the equipment just blocks for 7. It's just playing the standard sweep of Crown, Techno Foundry Heart, the Galvanized arms, and the Killer's Accelerators. That's only 7. So if we come for 8 with the Erase Phase, that's at least 1 card from the hand. So now Dash, it's another rematch, from I think week 3 was it. So Dash wins a die roll and decides to go first, since Dash can like set up if she goes first, like 1 or 2 items or some other high roll. In this case, Dash had 2 D-bones and started by taking basically 2 armor away from me. But it wasn't free, I would say, since she had to pay with Spark of Genius. That's one of the power cards from Dash, basically like Pot of Greed, since draws 2 cards and gets like a Cerebellum or a Boom Grenade, something like that. Just a lot of setup and free cards from that. It's a bit awkward when I lose two of my armor block this early, especially since that means I can't really block breakpoints that easily. But compensating for that, I had a Sigil in my hand, so at least I start the game at 43 life, even though I lost 2 armor blocks. So I start like high rolling a little bit since I have back-to-back Erase Phase, and Dash can do a lot. Sadly, I ended up IPing myself on one of these turns, and the other one I was lucky enough to have like a Sigil, so I just IP'd 1. So Erase Phase, as mentioned before, is the best card against Dash since it stops the boost, it stops Dash ability. But if Dash has like enough blocks, she can block with 2 or 3 cards and play an item. As we see these 2 turns, Dash played a Technocore and then she played a Boom Grenade, meaning she's doing like some setup. And if I don't get some more disruption during this turn, as well after the turn after, then the Boom Grenade and the Technocore are going to be a problem. So this turn is fairly important since Dash has some prep, and if she's able to keep 6 cards, then it's going to be like a big problem for us. So I had Enact Vengeance in my hands and the Sirens. I chose to go for the Sirens play since usually against Dash the first Arsenal Disruption effect is irrelevant since it gets blanked by the Crown of Providence, and in this case the Sirens would be a little bit more value since I heal 1 life on top of that. So having the 1 more life, it's a bit more relevant than an effect that's going to get just blanked by the equipment. So yeah, that's why in this case I chose to throw the Sirens instead of the Enact Vengeance. And at the end, Dash ended up giving me the crown, so it was like whatever, since got the crown anyway. But it's very important to know that the dash swapped a card from hand, not the arsenal. Meaning the arsenal was actually relevant. But yeah, I still think on paper the one life on the spot is better than just taking away the crown. What we did anyway. Meaning our next and next vengeance are going to be stronger. So this turn I am really far ahead in life, meaning I have 47 life versus 22 life from my dash opponent. So that's 25 life discrepancy. So I know I can just tank some damage. So the first hit comes and I just block it since I wanted to see what else he had. When the second attack came, I didn't really want to block since I know he still had like 2 cards in hand and 1 resource floating and on top of the arsenal, so I know this boom grenade is getting through regardless what I do, especially since I don't have like a combo card to block with the flick like my arsenal. So that's going to be doomed in that case, so I just let the boom grenade through and I try to step up onto the gas pedal this turn. Just by throwing the flying kick and threatening 9 damage, in this case getting the dash down to 13 now, and the life discrepancy is now 24. As expected, dash just says no blocks and has yet again 5 cards to play with. The 5 cards turn for dash are always scary, but lucky for us, she doesn't have like any items on board that can already leverage, so no like 6 or 7 card hands for like with like attack liquor or the boom grenade like last turn. And last turn wasn't even that awesome, if I would say, like no max V or something like that. But this time dash just goes for the max V and just try and rebuys it back on top of that, preparing it for next turn. But next turn wasn't really like a max V turn, and I threaten the max V now with the Neck Vengeance that I managed to put in arsenal, since I can just be more freely with my lives and I have so much. Just take my damage, more damage to close the game. Yeah, so just try to threaten the max V, disrupt. And Dash had like a bit of a brick hand and couldn't really stop the Neck Vengeance really effectively, so the Dash just tries like to push a bit of damage and just does a little bit of more of setup. Sadly, the boom grenade does a lot since Dash has no more galvanized cards, but the technical can be really important. And I just threaten lethal this turn and get like the last amounts of equipment block from the Dash, so I know if I survive the next turn from the 4-card hand, 3-card hand and the max velo, then I think I'm going to be fine to close the game, so I just need to keep 2 cards in my hand to do it. And for this case, Dash hand was really good since Dash had like the perfect composition of a hand. So he basically had like 2 cost 0 boosts, 1 cost 1 boost, and Techno Foundry, and finishing with the max velo. That's 20 damage from 3 cards in hand and 1 arsenal. That's I would say not too shabby. So the Pulsar Harpoon took my blue card, so I couldn't really close the game. So Dash was able to buy herself like a turn for a next turn, and now I'm like 19-3, and I am just waiting to block with 3 cards from my hands and to finish the game. And yeah, and that's why I just did, just block with the cards I don't really need and keep a blue, swing with my Edge of Autumn and finish with my card from my arsenal, just finishing the game from there. I think this is the first game we actually killed Dash instead of going to fatigue. It was fairly high rolly since I had like 2 early sigils when I had tempo on top of the 2 race phases. So we're once again at Hold the Bird. I forgot, and exactly like last time over here, I forgot to open the boosters in front of the camera. But as you can see, we also don't have anything special. Now we have a full playset of Yo-Ho-Hos. Let's try gold. And Cogging the Machine.
Crazy.
I think it's still worth nothing, even though the new cards was spoiler. Yeah, at least we get like 1 to 2 euros back for the armory. Now I'm going to play the final against Verdance. yeah, let's see how this goes.
Just win again.
Yeah, let's ship it. So now, game 3, yet again against Verdance. So I start swinging my sword. Just wanted to see if I can get one chip damage and filter my hand, since I have no equipment like to freely filter my hand, and play the free sigil I have, so free life. Verdance does with that command conquer. It's not that great for Verdance, but it's fine. And now I have a really cool flying kick turn. Didn't really wanted to use the kind of scarabs on the sick vegetation, since, as mentioned, Verdance has a lot of the reacts play, and the depth of this matchup I've learned, it's like, if I like, it starts with Verdance just knowing, and then if when I know that Verdance knows, and then it can get like a bit higher what Verdance knows that I know that she knows, meaning she can just be bluffing with the reacts. But I think it's way better if you just play conservatively and try to stay um, high in life, and don't be using the kind of scarabs a lot unless we know it's going to be free. So now Bernstone, maybe she does like a small misstep, so he plays the Everbloom live and then discards the Fruits of the Forest. Maybe if she done like other way around, she could have put like the Command and Conquer on the bottom, and that's like an extra card that's fairly good for the late game. So I have the Brutal Assault. It's funny because at least this game is the first time I really missed the Command and Conquers. So I would be playing Command and Conquer instead of Brutal Assaults and Amnesias. But I noticed how huge they would have been this game, since they would have taken like a couple of D-Reacts and just taken honestly a lot of value this game around. And then the Burdens doesn't have like another great turn, just a Command and Conquer, and I'm luckily enough to get yet another flying kick turn, just pushing 13 damage of 3 cards. First value of the game hits the board. Put a card on my bottom of the deck, just try to pitch stack it, and then block with a thing below and 2 blue sirens. Meaning instead of losing life, I just go up to 45. That's funny enough. So now Verdance has full tempo, but obviously now Verdance is really able to handle like a full card, a 5 card hand, and just ends up being like a Burn with the Waning Moon, pitch stacking like the next Fading of the Crown for late game. I think I maybe did a misplay this turn, so I had some nice damage in my hands, but I rather just prevented 4 and send 1, meaning 5 value, instead of just taking it all and swinging with 1 into 5 into possibly 5 or 6. Maybe that was like the better play, but I also thought, okay, maybe now I have like this for the late game, so maybe that's cool. In hindsight, probably just taking 4 more damage and pushing 11 damage at least would have been better. Burns gets an early Ring of Roses. Ring of Roses isn't like a really impactful card off the get-go, but it gets like value turn per turn. But if we are just denying the arcane damage, then the Ring of Roses gets like no value, and that's what I'm planning to do. So Ring of Roses into just staff activation, and I prevent those 2 arcane damage, since if I get like those 2 arcane damage, then Verdance gets like 1 more life, so I need to be like careful about it. So I do an enact Vengeance turn, and Verdance only blocks 7, but I know that he knows, so I am pretty sure the card in Arsenal or the card or another card from hand is a D-React, which in this case it was. It was a Sing Below, so he just places. He was baiting me in order to activate my Arcana Scarabs in order to threaten the Arsenal card, and yeah, so I didn't fall into the bait, and he just plays his his Arcane spell for 4, prevent 2, and also prevent the ping from the Ring of Roses. So my hands aren't looking that cool as I would like it to be, since now I have yet another full red hand. But I mean, I used my blue card to prevent the the damage, so I guess makes sense that the HUD isn't that great if I use my blue card for other things. But I'm also pitch taking like this erase faces for the late game, since they help a little bit, just preventing some extra arcane damage for Verdance. So I just threatened 10 damage with 2 cards and a pitch. It's not too shabby. And on top of that, I drew the Oasis Respite for the Burn Bird that gets played next turn. So I just stay healthy. So now we get just in this classic sale match where we trade 2 cards for 2 cards and see who gets more value over the turns until like someone spikes and like has like a big turn instead. So I'm just trying to block it and set up, and then he blocks, he setups, and this and that. Until we get another full red hand, but this hand had an Oasis Respite, and a Berber came, and apparently my opponent didn't have enough resources to pitch into a Waning Moon, and pitch stacking also at the react, and another Plow Under. So I just block it, everything, set up and pitch stack for me, and pass a turn. So now more in late game, where I know the Verdance turns are going to get a little bit weaker, until we reach the pitch stack where there's like this Valley of the Crown, this Plow Under, and eventually the Everbloom is going to come down. I decide to go into defensive since I have like a healthy life lead. Right here, I thought it was fairly safe to activate my Arcana Skywraps, but I didn't really wanted to risk it, since if I have a feeling if I lose my weapon this game, I'm just going to lose immediately. And I just finish with another Sirens, just healing a bit more and getting a bit more damage done. The Command and Conquer gets blanked by a Sigil. That's like honestly really funny always to see whenever a Command and Conquer just gets completely blanked by a Sigil. Evergreen is a fairly important card in a lot of Verdance lists, since that's basically Verdance's weapon for late game, and that's why it really needed to get protected from this Enact Vengeance. Otherwise, it would be basically game over for Verdance if like if the Evergreen would be destroyed. So now we're starting to get like into pitch stack territory. The raise phases I pitched earlier are starting to come back. So, and that means also the feeling of the crowds from my opponent are coming back. So now I'm going to be a bit careful, even though I have like a decent life lead. I just need to stay careful to not lose the game out of nowhere. So my opponent right now just plays the Pulse of Cannonhold, healing 3. I prevent all the 3 damage, but I see pitches Rootbound Carapace. I think that's the last react from his deck, so meaning until I get to see like the Shelter that he pitched like a couple of turns before, then it's free reign on the activation of my Arcana Skywraps, just to try to finish the game at that point. He puts like Feeling of the Crown at the bottom, since he healed 4 life with the Everbloom and the Pulse. So that's maybe a bit scary when he gets like to play 4 Felling of the Crowns. So this turn cycle, my opponent did a big misplay. He forgot how exactly Raise Phase on Verdance works, and basically Verdance had like no hero ability. So when he played his Pulse, there were basically no 6 value out of the Pulse, so no 2 card 8 for Verdance. That was like a bit not that cool, but was it was just bad for my opponent. And the Waning Moon, I just took the Waning Moon, and so since Verdance is offline, she just gets 1 life of the Ring of Roses, but no extra ping for me. I wanted like to try to keep my cards in my hand and try to see if I can do like a power turn. I think this was like a misplay from my part, especially since he already blocked with the Shelter on the second one, meaning I could have used my Enact Vengeance in order to swing at the end and threaten his Arsenal instead of the Erase phase to just do basically nothing. With the neck vengeance, I also have like the ability for my Skywraps, and I know he's not going to have at this moment the Rootbound Carapace he pitched earlier, and he also has no mental blocks. So if I would have gotten like this Evergreen at this moment, I would be just instantly over the game, I would say. So now I get one of those cool turns I pitched like earlier before with the Bittering Thorns and the Pounding Gale. Yeah, so I just pushed some damage and managed to get Verdance down to 11 life, and Verdance just swings with a Tilling. I completely block using my headpiece since I figured out there weren't going to be a lot of further turns where I'm going to be able to block with my headpiece. Maybe I forgot he put like the Felling of the Crown in the bottom, but I just really wanted to get as much value as I could from all my equipments, and there isn't going to be like another really relevant on hit since I believe there are no more CNCs on here, and the Everbloom loop just keeps going, and we just try to trade some value until he finally uses his last Rootbound Carapace, meaning now he has no direct, and if I see a Vengeance card, I'm always allowed to flick freely. The fourth Felling of the Crown hits the board. I just put like one card of bottom of my deck and keep a 2-card hand. This time being the Neck Vengeance, and I swing my Neck Vengeance. My opponent had the Crown of Providence ready just to prevent getting his arsenal destroyed, but since I know he has no DRX in his deck left, I can just freely activate my Okana Skywraps at this point, which I do. The pool hits the board, just the 2-card 8 value that Verdance can play, healing 3, dealing 3 damage, and then threatening another 2 damage from the Waning Moon. I used this opportunity just to try to pitch stack yet again my last ditch effort plus flying kick turn. So I do another Neck Vengeance turn. My opponent does a large misplay here. He should have blocked the first Neck Vengeance, but he took it, meaning I was able to play it again, and he basically just gave me 4 damage for free. And he blocks with overblocks, thinking that I could play it again, but I just point him out that the card just comes to 3 and has basically no effect right now. So we just go back into that, and he plays yet the Evergreen. At this point I'm just trying to finish with my last ditch efforts and flying kicks. Since she's burns just a 2 life, then that's going to be a guarantee win if I get like to that point into the game. So something really important to say is usually against Verdance, you need to be playing around the Emeritus Colding, since it's like the only blue spell that Verdance is playing, and the Waning Moon, meaning if Verdance can't keep 2 cards, then you should be either have at least 1 resist floating, or have more than 4 life just to play around the Emeritus Colding. Now I finally reached this super late game with and I'm just able to win immediately with the 2 last ditch efforts. That's just a lot of damage that Verdance can't really play around. I mean, she was almost dead, to be honest, but 19 damage from double last ditch effort is like the cake. And with that, all the games for this week finally ended. These Verdance games were fairly exhausting since both games went to fatigue. Really happy about the addition from the last ditch efforts. So they weren't being played a lot at the beginning, but having this safety net, it really helps in a couple of games, I believe.
Opening Bussa.
Hast du nicht geklatscht?
Weißt du, das. Das mit den Klatschen, das habe ich so von.
We are back on track, winning yet another armory. This was a smaller armory than I wanted to do. At the end, some more people showed up, so I decided to start the video after someone mentioned he really wanted to be in the next episode, and he actually is in this episode. I played him in the last round, the finals. So shout outs to Florian for that, for the game. Nerd Worlds we didn't pull anything really special in the pack. Only the cognitive machine. That isn't worth a lot, but it's at least some part of the armory back. Yeah, so I always enjoy when I get comments about someone when they say they learned something from the videos. I get excited, and I must say I also been learning a couple of things of reviewing some games. So we are learning together. But thank you for your support, and see you next week.